What up, what up, what up? It's Ray V. Let's get it. I just want to thank y'all for your love and support coming out of yesterday's vid. Lots of emotions, lots of feels, and I was kind of embarrassed and hella self-conscious thinking about like cutting it out and all. But yeah, you gotta let your shields down sometimes, and just embrace the feels. It's much better than having no feels, and that's coming from me, Mr. Experience as hell in that regard. If you noticed, I got a different background right now. I'm literally watching my niece with the baby monitor on deck. But hey, man, no excuses. We grind, baby. Let's get it. Let's get into our sad boy quote of the day. I was told to follow my dreams. That's why I crossed the country for you. I wasn't chasing you. I was choosing you, Pikachu. So this one, you're gonna have to ignore that. Sorry about that. I have to watch her just in case she gets up. Don't know how to turn that off, but I should definitely be keeping an eye over there. But yeah, this one definitely hits hard when you take into account the lore behind it. So let's break it down though. Let's half it up. I was told to follow my dreams. That's why I crossed the country for you. She moved away for optometry school like a month after we were, like literally like a month after we were in talks of moving into an apartment together. Good thing we didn't, because I would have been so shafted. I would have been stuck in that apartment all alone. Oh man, that credit run would have been horrible. But it wasn't even a question of if I'd move across the country, California to Chicago, so like Midwest, my bad. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But it was just a question of when. When she went to undergrad, she moved like an hour away from our hometown, and it was tough being so far away for those 4 years. So, we're a little more grown, so yeah, I was down to move with her eventually. Scared as hell, not gonna lie. I'd only lived in my one house my entire life, with my parents, with my siblings, so, for the first time ever, I would live away from home, not only away from home, not just a 10-minute drive away from home, I was states away, so, from my family, and, well, you just have to grow up sometimes, and that's what it was. She was the dream. The life together was always the dream. Follow your dreams, kids. That's what's up. Second line, I wasn't chasing you. I was choosing you, Pikachu. So this one hits harder, even harder, because I'm pretty indecisive. Mostly because I don't really care a lot about about things. But the one solid, never wavering choice I ever made was her. Every single day, 100 times over, every single lifetime. This has to be a canon event for us, and for us too in every multiverse. I wasn't just going to Chicago to follow her around and bum off her for the rest of our lives. I chose there to begin building our life together like grown adults outside of our parents' homes. And if we want to take this even one step further, deepen it for absolutely no reason, deepen it some more. I Choose You, Pikachu was the first episode title for Pokemon when Ash and Pikachu started their adventure together. They saw Ho-Oh in the sky. It was like when we were watching that sunset from our building on that first night when I finally moved over there. But that's enough feels for the day. Let's get into our deepest fantasies now, baby. So today I'm going to do a more structured video, actual YouTube video. So let's see how that works. We're going to do 5 second-year players poised to break out, potential buy lows or even buy highs, because they will only get higher. So the first one we're going to talk about is Luther Burden. He had 15 games played last year, 47 of 60 catches targets, 652 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 6 carries on 37 yards, and he will have schemed up play designs for him, even rushing going forward. He should even take DJ Moore's trick plays too. He had a few. He had a couple last year from what I remember. And with DJ Moore gone, DJ Moore leaves a void of 50 catches, 85 targets, 682 yards, 6 touchdowns. Luther Burden, like I've said in the last few videos, he's been handpicked by Ben Johnson, and I wouldn't be surprised if he out-targets and outperforms Rome Odunze. Caleb did favor him more than DJ Moore and Rome late last season. When it really mattered, when they were fighting for that 1 seed, when they went into the playoffs, he was going right at them. So that little burst at the end of the season should carry over into this season, this upcoming season, and he could build his case to becoming the Bears' true wide receiver 1. And I also looked at KTC. I'm not going to pull it up because that's when I just start rambling and talking on forever. But I looked it up earlier, and Burton's not in too many small, not cluttered deals, but it looks like he's around like the 104 area for this draft, is what people are trading for him. Me personally would be comfortable trading 108, probably 108. I like maybe as high as 105 if you truly believe. I was just saying I was in Chicago for a bit. I don't believe that much. I like him. 105 is kind of high, but if you like him like that, 105 is probably as high as I would go. Seems like a high price to pay, but if he balls out, he's not 108, 105. Yeah, you're gonna have to spend 2 firsts next off season. Maybe 3 firsts. If he really becomes that guy. So, this could be the buy low of him right now. Next guy we're going to talk about is Egmeka Egbuka. Mike Evans is gone, even though he only played 8 games last year. Evans still had 30 catches on 61 targets, 368 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Egbuka last year, he was 63 catches on 127 targets, 938 yards, and 6 touchdowns. 9 weeks into the season, Egbuka was looking elite. He was looking elite, and then he got hurt. I believe it was that week or it was the week after. And he just stayed on the field. He kept playing every game. And he probably should have just sat down, but he just wanted to be that guy, and his production faltered because of it. And that also happened to Baker. Baker got hurt for a while, took a big hit. I think it was his ankle or something. But he also should have sat down. But instead, both of them forced themselves to play, and both of their production looked horrible. But the offense should be better, with both of these guys healthy. And now that Evans is gone, Egbuka shouldn't be fighting McMillan for snaps. It should just be the trio of McMillan, Egbuka, and Godwin. The trio should be better. They should be all on the field at the same time, no one fighting each other for snaps. And, I could even see Egbuka with another offseason with Tampa that he starts taking over and, becomes the first option. Start to put Godwin behind him in the pecking order. I checked out KTC, Keep Trade Cut, and it looks like they have him valued around the 102 in Superflex leagues. So I would try to trade him if you can get away with a 106, 108 more comfortably, somewhere around that area. Looking into the rookies, obviously the NFL draft hasn't happened yet, so we don't know their landing spots. They could be boosted, they could be knocked down a couple pegs depending on where they land, but I'd rather have Egbuka than Denzel Boston or Amari Cooper Jr. Those are the guys looking around the 106, 108 area, 106, 108 area. Before we know their landing spots. Makai Lemon is probably the toss-up for me. Really depends on what team he lands on for me to choose whether I'd have Egbuka or Makai Lemon. The next guy we're going to talk about is Tyler Shough. He played 11 games last year. He should have the entire season this year to prove himself as a long-term guy and show that last season wasn't a fluke. Like I said before in a previous video, Saints, I think that was a different team. But Saints should be reevaluating the entire team. They're going to be stuck in this little rebuildy thing because when Sean Payton was there, he really messed them up with all those contracts. Just deferring, and hey, that cap will hit in 6 more years, and then he dipped. So they're still recovering from that. But someone like Tyler Shough on a rookie contract should really be helping them. And even if he's trash, they'll be playing from behind, which even helps them even more. He has a chance to be a long-term asset for sure, but he will definitely put up points this season. Does not matter. When you're behind, you're just playing catch-up ball the entire time. Kirk Cousins, elite at that. He was really good at that. For a lot of the Viking years and the Commanders years, he just played from behind, and he just would go from 10 fantasy points to 26 in the fourth quarter alone. So I could see something like that happening with Tyler Shough. He should be a great low risk buy low. You could always trade for him, and then even if he's not really fitting your team or whatever, you could always trade him away after a good game and play the dynasty market that way. You could make a profit. He had 45 rushes in 11 games last season. That's four times a game. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got around 8 to 10 a game. And that makes a big difference with the floor of quarterbacks and rushing quarterbacks. It bumps them up a good amount. And now ETN's back there in the backfield with him for easy dump offs, easy play designs. Could catch a 2-yard catch 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and just take it to the house. And those are free points for the quarterback, free points for Tyler Shough. So that's why I like that guy for his second year jump. And so I checked out KTC, 1 QB. He looked around the 206, but honestly, in 1 QB, I probably wouldn't have even traded for him unless you can get away with a third for him or maybe a late second. But there's just too many options at QB in a 1 QB league unless you got a bunch of quarterback hoarders in your league. One of my leagues, we have 1 QB league. It is 12 teams, but there's probably 1 or 2 guys on the waivers at QB. I think Tyler Shough was one of them for the longest time. No one wanted him, but they took everyone else. And, now they can profit off of him, whoever picked him up towards the end of last season, or they could just roll with him. But in Superflex, he looks like he's going around the 107. So I'd comfortably make a late first for him, 110, 112, whatever your league size is. Early second, obviously more preferable. But he's going to put up points. It looks like Ty Simpson, the QB from Alabama, he's going to be the QB2 off the board in fantasy, in Dynasty fantasy drafts. And he looks like right now without a landing spot, he'll land around the 108 in Superflex leagues. So, even the 108 seems like a little expensive for Tyler Shough, but I'd rather have Tyler Shough in the situation he's in right now than Ty Simpson, who might go to the league and just sit and be a backup for at least a while for the foreseeable future. I don't see him coming in as a day one starter. And especially if you can give 110, 112 away, that's a cheaper price, and then you get the starter in Tyler Shough rather than Ty Simpson, 108, and he's just sitting on your taxi squad and you're just hoping something will come out of him. If he doesn't start the year, if Ty Simpson doesn't start the year, next year you're going to be I wish I could trade this guy away for a second. It's hey, you just waste the 108 on him, man. That's a bad way to play the market. All right, next guy is going to be Ashton Jeanty. Last year he had 266 carries. That was 7th in the NFL. 975 rush yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, and for receiving, he has 55 catches on 73 targets, 346 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. He was pretty good last year. I remember in redraft leagues he was back of the end first, and he didn't perform at all. He could have done better, especially drafted at that spot. But was that 1,300 all-purpose yards? And you get, everyone's usually playing PPR league. That's extra 55 points from just catches alone. 10 rushing touchdowns as a rookie is no joke. He got some nose for the end zone. Raiders picked up Linderbaum and Kirk Cousins. That's really going to help him out. You have a competent quarterback back there, and now you got a good center to run behind. He's not going to be taking hits behind the line of scrimmage anymore. Remember that crazy stat is he's getting hit behind every single play and still coming out positive. And then now that's not going to happen anymore. He should be able to get positive yards without having trying to fight as hard, just to overcome the line of scrimmage, the original line of scrimmage. Clint Kubiak coming from Seattle means he's bringing that high-powered offense scheme with him. They were third ranked in scoring last season. Third ranked scoring offense last season. The Raiders might not have JSN, but they definitely have Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty Brock Bowers. And so Ashton Jeanty could prove to be even better than Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet were last season, and they were pretty good. You could buy him right now for a little lower than what he really should be going, especially with the almost certain addition to the backfield to come. Kubiak already said that he wants two guys back there. The system he was running last year with Walker and Charbonnet, hated it for fantasy, but hey, it worked. Kenneth Walker stayed healthy all season, and the one who got hurt was Charbonnet actually, and then Kenneth Walker took that Super Bowl MVP down because he was so fresh the entire season, or for the playoff run, and he was able to play like him and be him. Where was I? Yeah, two-man backfields, they sound ugly and fancy, but that's just how teams roll nowadays. He should be more efficient with his touches and not take as many beatings like he did last year. Right now is probably what he would be his lowest, just with the threat of someone coming in. Honestly, they probably add someone who's not even that threatening, let alone the split probably won't even be as crazy as it seems. So I would think right now would be the best time to try to trade for him. Unless the Raiders make a crazy trade or they take Jadeveon Price or something. My running back 2 right now in rookie dynasty drafts. If they take someone like him, I don't know why the Raiders would waste such a high pick because he's probably going to go in the second. If they do something like that, then it'll look scary at least, and maybe he might go down a little bit more, but it shouldn't be too crazy. Looking at KTC, looks like 2 first plus. So, and I was seeing combinations of early and late first, maybe like a 102 and a 109-ish. And the one I did see earlier was 102, 109, and Waddle. And that's a lot. I think I'd rather just keep 102, 109, and Waddle for that specific one. But if you can get away with 2 firsts and a decent player, not someone like Waddle, or you could give a Waddle and a 102, I would do that. If somebody just really enamored with first for some reason, 109, 112, anything in the later 105, 107, I would give up easily for Ashton Jeanty right now. You can throw out that all enticing 2027 first in there. If you don't really trade your draft picks, you should definitely have your pick from this year, 2026, your 2027 pick. If you could just throw whatever those 2 picks are, 103 this year and the 2027 first next year, I would totally do that and just walk away with Ashton Jeanty. It might take some smoozing, but obviously it'll be worth it. It's a big price to pay, but if he does even better than what he did this last year, he does 1,000 and he is 1,000 and close, maybe 1,000, close to 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving. I think he could do it. They're using him in the backfield a lot. If he could do something like that, that's going to look like a young Christian McCaffrey. That's 3 first plus easily. So 2 firsts right now, 2 firsts and a player sounds pretty crazy, but it's only going to go up. There's no way that, unless some, not to jinx it, knock on wood, but if he gets some horrible injury next year or something, is the only way he would go down. He plays the whole season. There's no way that price is dropping. Even if he gets hurt, the name value, the production from that rookie year, it's going to be up. So even if something crazy happens, you could definitely recoup those 2 firsts or whatever you traded for him if the worst thing happens. If you could convince your league mate that the backfield will consist of another guy, if not 2 other guys, like a 3-headed beast back there, you might be able to get away with, like I'm saying, the 2 firsts. If you could trade a guy like Malik Neighbors 1 for 1, I would do it. I was seeing some similar trades to that on KTC. Young guy looking like a superstar already, but he's coming off an ACL. I would abuse that name value and just take it and walk away. Take Ashton Jeanty and compete compete this next year. So my next one, my mouse stopped working. There we go. Oh no, I'm at the end. So last guy we're gonna talk about right here is Kyle Monangai. He had 169 rushes, 783 rushing yards, 4.6 a carry, 5 rushing touchdowns, and in the receiving game, he had 18 catches on 30 targets, 164 receiving, and the biggest stat, 0 fumbles lost. Another offseason to look even more comfortable in that offense will definitely do him well. Latter half of the year, he played really, really well. And they used him in the 2-minute drill. That's where he was getting his catches at. And then they were using him to ice the game too, because they trusted him with the ball protection, and that goes a long way. They were giving it to him instead of Swift, and that could leak into this next season. He should definitely take more snaps away from Swift now, especially after his production last season. And I wouldn't be surprised if it became a true 50-50 or even 60-40 leading Monangai's way. I believe last year it was 60-40 leaning Swift's way, and that was like towards the end of the season. For most of the beginning of the season, first half of the season, I believe it was like 70-30, 80-20. Swift was just dominating. But they've seen Monangai. We're gonna watch the tape. They're gonna see how good he was, and they're just gonna ride it out. And they're going to let him take the ball. Especially if you drafted Monangai last year, late in drafts. I was getting him in the 4th round, a lot of drafts. My early draft, the draft that I do a week after the actual NFL draft, I got him off waivers. If you did something like that, you might just want to ride the wave and just, take all those points with you. And you could always cash out too, but hey, the production looks like it's there to stay. On KTC, checked it out earlier. A lot of seconds being thrown for him. I would give any second for Monangai right now. I'm that comfortable. I'm that confident with him. I'd give the 201 for him. He's young. He performed last year. He doesn't fumble the ball. He's using the 2-minute drill. Anything less than a second, anything less than the 201, I would fire away. Even if I got to throw 2 late seconds, 209, 210. That sounds better than the 201 just because it's 2 picks. No, you try trading the 209 and 210 for the 201 in general. It's a hard no every time, automatic no. So something like that, 209, 210, 205, 209, whatever. You could throw 2 of them. You could throw your draft pick this year, 20 whatever, 208, and 2027 second next year. YOLO, give it up for him. I'm really confident in Monangai, and he should ball out. So, I wrote a more detailed outline this time, like I said, and tried to structure it better. Hopefully, you guys liked it. If I'm not making these into podcasts yet, I should probably just make them into like how a YouTube video would be. Make them shorter and more consumable. Next vid, I think I'm going to talk about why you should play in a Dynasty League if you haven't already, or if you haven't jumped in yet. I want to try to encourage more people to dip their toes into the Dynasty world if you guys haven't already. It's pretty fun. And, the one thing with Dynasty is that, there's just no off-season. There's, the off-season right now. But see, content creators, they could still put up videos one news day. There wasn't even any news today. And I could still make a video out of something interesting enough for what a Dynasty player would like, and some content that they'd like to consume. So that'll probably be the next video that I make. But I think that's it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, rebuilds fade, but dynasties reign.